All right, wall fans, common sensors, social media world, and of course, podcast consumers. Welcome to episode 77 of Go Tell to the Wall podcast. I am, of course, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and we've got an action-packed episode for you tonight. I always build that stuff up, but I'm warning you, I warned everyone in the teaser, I even posted on Facebook earlier, we're probably going to be a little liberal with the F-bombs tonight. I try to avoid them as much as possible. Anyone that watches, listens, subscribes knows that. I avoid them as much as possible. They do slip out at times, but given the week that we have had, especially here in Southern California, they're probably getting loose tonight. So just be aware of that. Make sure the kids aren't watching this one in particular. Usually it's pretty much okay for kids to be watching this one to an extent. I wouldn't recommend having your toddlers watch me rant at a wall, but for the most part, tonight, not one of those nights. Even without the F-bombs, just some of the subjects that we're going to get into, specifically what happened in Thousand Oaks last night. If you're not familiar with that one, you've probably been living under a rock or stuck in a closet. I don't know. So we're going to talk about that. Not super appropriate for the kids. And we do have the usual common sense stuff. We've got some funny social trends, some interesting tech news, all of that good stuff. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. Crack open a nice beer. Get comfortable and settle in for episode 77 of Go Tell to the Wall podcast. Let's get into it. All right, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers. Welcome to episode 77 of Go Tell to the Wall podcast. I am, of course, your host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. Got a lot of stuff to get into tonight. We are going to have a lot of the usual common sense, but we've also got some stuff going on in this state, in this, really, the region of this state, as well as around this country, and we're going to get into it. The F-bombs might be coming out tonight. No guarantees that they are, that they aren't, but most likely we're going to have some. In fact, and I'll even show it to people on live, I literally have F-bombs like built into my show prep tonight. That's how ridiculous it is. So they're going to fly tonight. We're going to have some fun. We're going to drink some beer. I'm going to yell at a wall. So sit back, relax, crack a beer, pour a drink, get a bottle of water if you don't drink, smoke a bowl, smoke a joint, whatever it is you want to do, relax and enjoy the soothing sounds of Go Tell to the Wall podcast, episode 77. And as usual, we kick things off with social plugs. How would you know how to keep in touch with us between episodes, before episodes, after episodes, during episodes, all that good stuff? You wouldn't, unless I told you. Every week. So we're going to do that now. One of the places you can follow us where we're actually streaming live right now is Facebook. Head on over to Facebook. Facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. That's right. Facebook.com. You know you have bookmarks. You're always on that stupid website all the time. I'm on there all the time, so don't get offended when I'm saying it's a stupid website. But Facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. You're going to get updates on everything. We post all the new episodes up there and all that good stuff. Additionally, you can follow us on Twitter at Tell the Wall Pod. Again, at Tell the Wall Pod or at Magic Muppet. That's right, at Magic Muppet. Follow both of those. At Tell the Wall Pod is obviously the official Go Tell to the Wall Twitter account, but you also want to follow mine. Sometimes I like that one just gets a little dusty, and I'm only posting like episodes there, but you'll get other stuff on the at Magic Muppet account. So follow both of those. Get updates, get all your common sense between episodes and all that good stuff. And of course, YouTube, we are still on YouTube. Head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell to the Wall, and subscribe to our channel. That's where you're going to find all the cool beer reviews. You're also going to find some individual clips from the podcast episodes. And of course, the entirety of our episodes are also featured on YouTube if you prefer to actually watch them. Some people have told me I'm fairly good looking. My wife, that's pretty much it. But if you prefer to watch them as opposed to listen, you can do so over at YouTube. Like I said, just go to YouTube, search Go Tell the Wall, subscribe, give us a subscription, comment, like videos, do whatever it is you do. Dislike videos. We get some dislikes on there because sometimes I call people out on their bullshit. But such is the life of a common censor and a podcaster who yells at a wall on a weekly basis. Yes, that's what happens. And of course, most importantly, all inclusive of those things I just mentioned would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That's right, www.SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Head on over there. That's actually going to link you to all those things I just mentioned. It's going to make it easy. You don't even have to read. It's got little pictures of a little Tweety bird thing and a little Facebook F and a YouTube, whatever that thing is, a play sign or I don't know, whatever that thing is. Gonna make it easy for you. Again, SeanO'RourkeLive.com, and that will also link you to our Patreon page and our Indiegogo campaign, which are two things, if you are so inclined and you have the means, you can support the podcast, the channel, the overall Go Tell the Wall empire financially, and every little bit helps. If it's $1, if it's $50, whatever it is, you can do so through either Patreon or our Indiegogo campaign. So you'll be able to link to those things through our website. And of course, the website also features stuff you're not going to find anywhere else. There's pictures up there, there's blog posts up there. I've actually been slacking on updating it, but it will be updated again soon. So if you've been checking back over the past week or so and there hasn't been new stuff's coming, I just got to get it up there. It's a matter, I got a toddler hanging off of me all the time. It's tough to get through absolutely everything there is to get through that kind of encompasses Go Tell It to the Wall. So forgive me on that, but make sure you bookmark it. Check back often. That's going to be your one-stop shop, really, for everything I just mentioned. All right, beer this week. Before I forget, we actually themed this one. I themed this one this week. I did it on purpose because it's very similar to something we had recently. Very recently, we had a similar beer, really of the same name, from a brewery called 21st Amendment Brewery. They're out of the Bay Area, if I'm remembering correctly. And this would be the Brew Free or Die IPA. Now, we had the Brew Free or Die IPA a couple episodes ago. This is a new one, I believe just came out. I didn't do a ton of research on it because I'm familiar with 21st Amendment Brewery. But it's the same thing except that it's a blood orange IPA. So it's an IPA brewed with blood oranges. And it's got, instead of the beige can, it's got a nice little orange can here, and it says Blood Orange IPA. It's a tasty brew. It basically tastes like their regular Brew Free or Die, except that they shoved a bunch of blood oranges in it. Now, if you're a fruity beer fan, this one's right up your alley. It is not my favorite. I've been getting a little tired of breweries just throwing fruit into stuff. You're also listening to the guy that I literally don't even put a lime in my Corona or any of my Mexican beers. If I'm no. I go to a Mexican restaurant, I order a Modelo or Corona or any. I take it out, I put it on side. So I'm very fickle when it comes to the fruit in the beer. And this one, it's tasty, but I wouldn't personally. I would buy a case of this. I wouldn't buy even a 6-pack. Now I bought a 6-pack this week, and of course I had to drink a couple on Tuesday of this week because it was going to keep me from throwing my TV through a window. But probably not something I'd normally buy and drink a lot of. However, if you're into the blood orange, the fruity beers, this would be right up your alley, especially if you like IPAs, because it is an IPA. Got a little fruitiness to it. It's tasty. It's too much blood orange for me. And of course, for those of you that listen a lot, I handed it to my wife the other night and said, try a sip of this as usual, because she's kind of my guinea pig. She didn't love it. She didn't hate it. She didn't make the weird beer face that she makes with a lot of IPAs and stuff. So kind of depending where you fall on that spectrum, you may enjoy it, you may not. Just prepare yourself for kind of a little, I don't want to say punch in the face, but kind of a jab in the face of blood orange while you're drinking your IPA. It's just funky. It's tasty, not for me. I get it, but that's what's happening right now. The hazy IPAs and all stuff. Let's pack as much fruit as we can. No, calm down. Everyone likes fruit everywhere. But it's okay. It's okay. We will persist. Now, I want to talk about one thing that happened last night in Thousand Oaks, California, at the Borderline Bar and Grill. I'm actually familiar with this place. I've been there a couple times, having lived in kind of the north end of the valley, the northwest end of the valley. I've been up there a few times. I used to go to the gym in Thousand Oaks, as a matter of fact. And unfortunately, last night, that this was a location of yet another mass shooting here in the United States of America. So prepare yourselves. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I don't want to bring it down. There's only so much we can do by talking. there really is. This is something where action needs to happen. Not only action, but just compassion. Two things to keep in mind. So prepare yourselves. I obviously have to recognize that at the top of the show, and we're going to touch on it a few times throughout the show. And in fact, Amanda, I'm noticing that you're on the live feed right now. I'm actually stealing. I wasn't going to use your name, but since you're on the live feed, I'm actually stealing a post that you had posted this morning about your own son experiencing this. What was going on in the news really all day today. It was an all day affair. I'm sure it's still going on in the news. I just had to step into the studio and do some show prep and actually do the show. So I'm gonna use that a little bit because when this is a parenting segment, I think it's important to kind of unpack that a little bit, hash out and just get everyone thinking about not only these mass shootings and the action and the compassion that we need to take and have, but also talking to your children about it. All right, let's get into some social. The social's going to be a little down, then we're going to have some fun with it. But stuff that's trending right now. Now, obviously, this one just started trending today, possibly last night for those millennials that are up super late at night. You know, maybe it was last night, but the shooting happened like 11:15 last night. So most likely today this one took fire. And that would be hashtag borderline shooting. It's the Borderline Bar and Grill. I'm not going to really read through any of these for you. The reason I'm bringing it up is I think this is a good way to follow these things. I mean, you know, you can watch the news, you can follow news websites and everything else. But these are the times when I really, because I go to Twitter and other social platforms for entertainment, you know, time-killing things. But really, when you have hashtags like this, that's a good way to get information. So I bring that up, hashtag borderline shooting, because that's a good way to get information about what's happening. Personally, I spent a lot of the day pacing around my house trying to distract myself with my toddler, hoping to God that there was nobody I knew personally that was one of the people killed. Now, that sounds very insensitive, and I genuinely don't mean it in that way, but just the fact that I know the place, and I've known people that frequent there. I know people that live up in the Thousand Oaks area, in the Agora Hill area, you know, and I spent the day wondering when these names were going to come out, and so far hasn't been anyone I know personally, but we're still waiting on a couple names. So, I mean, all we can do is send our thoughts. I hate to say that, but because I don't even want to say prayers. Prayer isn't going to fix this, but we send our thoughts and our compassion really to all of the victims and all of the families of the borderline shooting, you know. And hopefully we can move forward from this. Unfortunately, I don't think we will. I mean, this is like the third shooting and the third or fourth in the past week. Fourth. I mean, it's crazy. This is happening daily in this country. And it doesn't matter what state, what city, it happens. Thousand Oaks, for those of you that aren't from Southern California, not familiar with it, it's a very, very quiet town. There's not a ton of stuff going on. You know, there's restaurants and bars, but it's not like where I live in Highland Park, which is part of Los Angeles. I mean, I'm 5-10 minutes from downtown, so you might expect that here. We really shouldn't expect that anywhere. But Thousand Oaks is an extra kind of sleepy, quiet town where this occurred, and it's very unfortunate. And I will say, I'm hoping Fat Mike. I think this is the time, Fat Mike of NoFX. This is the time for you to really start rehabbing your image and let people realize that you're not a hateful son of a bitch. Because here we go. We had some insensitive things. I don't want to get into all the details of it. You can go back to the episode where we actually talked about it. We talked about how insensitive he was with something he said at Punk Rock Bowling regarding the I-91 country, whatever it was in Vegas, where that was terrible, terrible tragedy. And we go to find out that there was actually people who had survived that mass shooting who were also at Borderline Bar and Grill last night. And I think, Fat Mike, this would be an opportunity for you really to show your compassion, maybe put your money where your mouth is, and start rehabbing that image. Because I was at Surf City Blitz, and I saw a bunch of people wearing NoFX stuff. And for every one of them, I want to be like, dude, do you know what Fat Mike did? Because, I was a NoFX fan, too, until he went and spouted off and turned into a hateful son of a bitch. Ugh. Of course, one of the other hashtags that is trending right now would be hashtag gun reform now. Hashtag gun reform now. Of course, this one flies around all the time whenever we have something like this going on. is these hashtags flying around gun reform now. That's a hashtag that I have used personally. That's a hashtag that we at Go Tell It to the Wall have used personally to try and evoke that thought in people that don't think we need gun reform. And of course, nothing is happening. But I will tell you, again, I don't even really want to read through these. But there is something I want to talk about regarding this. I actually got into it a little bit a few months ago with a couple of people online. Because now I am not anti-gun in any way. I am pro-gun control. I am pro-gun reform. In fact, we go to find out that, yes, the gentleman that committed this atrocity last night purchased a firearm legally. However, he had a clip or a magazine, whatever. I'm not a gun person. Whatever you put in there, that was illegal. So, don't say, well, it wasn't an AR-15. All this. No, he still had something illegal. This is why we need gun reform. This is why, and not only gun reform, but mental health reform. We need to take care of these people. This guy that did this last night had been on the radar for a lot of people, not only police, but mental health professionals, everything else. And there's nothing that anyone could do to prevent this, unfortunately. And there's probably things that people could do, but they didn't actually happen. And so a few months ago I got into this, and I'm so sick of the NRA. If you're a fan of the NRA, if you're a due-paying member of the NRA, this is not the podcast for you. This isn't, because I have no respect for the National Rifle Association. I have no respect for any of their members. That doesn't mean I think all guns are bad. This is where this argument kind of was spawned on social platforms. No, I think the NRA is a terrorist organization. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Simple as that. And I did get a response that said, well, and I'm paraphrasing here, well, you better hope that when you're in trouble, there is a vet with a gun there to save your ass. To save your ass. Well, to that, I say, and this is like 2, 3, 4, 5-fold. The gentleman that opened fire and killed, I believe we're at 11 people now total. I think that jumped up a bit while I was doing some show prep. My wife said, oh yeah, I know, I think there was another one. That gentleman was a honorably discharged Marine who had served in Afghanistan. So he was literally a vet. On top of that, one of the individuals that was killed at Borderline Bar and Grill was also a Marine vet. He was killed. Borderline Bar and Grill had an armed security guard. So for everyone out there that's saying, well, we just need to arm everyone and all this other stuff, they had an armed security guard. And in fact, they also had a police officer who arrived at the scene moments after this started to pan out. And unfortunately, that police officer was killed in line of duty. So don't give me this stuff about good guys with guns. Don't give me this stuff about, oh, you'll be lucky to have a vet save your life. A vet killed a bunch of people last night. There's no denying that. It's a fact. There was another vet there that wasn't able to save a bunch of people. Now, I'm sure he wasn't carrying guns, and maybe that might be the case. I'm not saying he was less of a person for not being able to stop it. But the fact of the matter is, there were people there that we always hear this narrative, always hear it, good guy with a gun. It didn't work last night. And can you imagine if that guy had an assault rifle as opposed to a handgun? Think about the casualties at that point. And that's why this discussion needs to continue. That's why this discussion needs to continue. I have no respect for the NRA. They need to be completely abolished. They shouldn't be a non-profit organization. I can't stand that. They pump money into politics. They pump it into politics. And again, I'm going to say it one more time to specify, I have no problem with you owning a gun. You want to have a rifle to hunt, that's fine. You want to have a handgun because you think, and I'm not saying you maybe, I say you think, but because you think someone is going to come in and murder your family, that's fine. But we still need gun reform. And we still need to abolish the NRA. Period. All right, let's lighten it up a little bit, Wall fans. I got some good hashtags, some fun hashtags for you. One of them would be, no, actually I have one more. This one's a good hashtag, but it is not a funny hashtag. And another one trending around right now would be hashtag love is stronger than hate. Love is stronger than hate. Now, I really love this one. It's unfortunate that we have to, or that this hashtag had to become popular. However, I love this one, and I think this is an opportunity to share positive things, positive thoughts. And one of those things would be the fact that people lined up around the block to donate blood today because they needed blood donations for all the victims of that mass shooting. And in fact, people were turned away. I had another friend who posted on social media earlier today, had driven up to, I'm not sure, I want to say Thousand Oaks, but it might have been like wherever they're doing the blood donations up Ventura County, had driven up there and actually was turned away because they couldn't get through everyone. And that's just a fantastic thing to consider, is despite all of this, we still have love out there. And the bottom line is, this hashtag can't be more true than anything else. Love is stronger than hate. And we have to continue to spread that love. As much as I sit and yell and rant at a wall and I'm going to drop some F-bombs here and there, love is still stronger than hate. It's the most important thing that there is. Most important thing there is. All right, another hashtag that's going around right now. Could not stop myself. Hashtag could not stop myself. This one's a fun one. And I'm going to keep it simple. One of these that I found, this one came from at my mean evil twin. Okay. That's an interesting Twitter handle, at my mean evil twin. Hashtag could not stop myself from touching the do not touch sign. Again, hashtag could not stop myself. These are funny. Search this one, laugh a little. We all need a little bit of laughter today. We all really do. It's just a fact of the matter. We can't ignore things that have happened, but for everyone's mental health, for this country's mental health, you do have to laugh a little and detach from it at least a little bit. So, another hashtag that's trending around right now. I can't read my own handwriting. Hashtag overtime I've learned. Hashtag overtime I've learned. And this one just got, again, check this one out. Get a little bit of a laugh out of it. But here's one I enjoyed. This one was from at Rico Suave 60. Clearly he had to pick 60 because there were 59 other Rico Suaves that chose a Twitter handle before him. So at Rico Suave 60, very original, sir. Just come on. At Rico Suave 60, hashtag overtime I've learned that Twitter is a shitty dating website. It's like half of you women aren't even single. Hashtag overtime I've learned. Yes, I do think that some people believe Twitter is a dating website. I've seen a lot of people kind of try to slide in. Is that what the kids say? Slide into someone's DM? I think that's what the kids say these days. I don't know. I can't keep up with it. I'm clearly not hip enough. Again, if you want like hip millennial talk regarding politics and current events and stuff, there's a guy named Hassan Piker. He was right here in Los Angeles, and he'll know all about, like, you know, dating sites and sliding into DMs and being fleek or whatever the things. He probably has 18 bays. I still don't know what the hell a bay is. That would be the place to get it. And in fact, if you really want this explained more than what I'm going to be able to do this next hashtag, yeah, just go watch. Still subscribe and watch me, but if you want to feel a little hipper and get, feel like you're kind of on the edge of the, what's the word I'm looking for? On the edge of the millennials. If you got your finger on the pulse of the millennials, that's the word I'm looking for. Where the hell is Bridget and Chris to keep me in line? I don't know what's happening here. That would be hashtag what would basic Jesus do? Hashtag what would basic Jesus do? I'm not even sure what basic Jesus is. However, I did find this funny from at Sunkiss. Alright, I'm done reading Twitter handles. I'm done reading them. Mine are so simple. Tell the Wall Pod and Magic Muppet. Like, call it a day. I don't even understand. Can't even read this. Anyway, from Dina, who's at something. Hashtag what would basic Jesus do? Make sure the bread was gluten-free. Make sure the bread was gluten-free. I enjoyed that one. I also enjoyed this one from at Lisa Persona. Hashtag what would Jesus do? Wear a WWID wristband. I mean, if I was Jesus, I would definitely wear a WWID wristband. Chris, you're so sneaky. I saw that, Chris. I actually think Chris Hassan are extremely talented and helpful stats and information producer. I believe he's actually working on set right now, and I just saw a little thing fly across on the live feed. I think he's probably checking in quickly and throwing some likes our way and everything, but I believe he is on set right now. I'm gonna be seeing him this weekend, so I'll get a little bit of a lowdown from him. Gotta give him this damn shirt I bought him a shirt in Connecticut, a specific shirt. I'm not gonna say it because he watches and listens, but I've said it before, and I gotta give it to him this weekend. Now I'm extra excited to give it to him, given what happened in the World Series. A little teaser. All right, let's move on to a little bit of tech. Jesus, we're like halfway through here, and I'm not even on tech. Comcast had a little announcement this week. They are most likely going to be launching a set-top box. Yes, not a cable set-top box, but a set-top box that is geared toward internet-only customers. Now, it's going to be less robust than Apple TV and Roku, whatever Amazon is, and the Google. We got the Google. I don't know. I got an Apple TV. It's like the only Apple product in my home. It's like I had the damn thing for like 6 years. So that's what I do, and it's going to be less robust than that because it's not going to have all the specific apps and everything. And then it's also going to have a monthly fee. So really, they're trying to combat the cord cutters here. But you're going to have to pay a monthly fee, and you're going to have a set-top box that doesn't do as much of things that most of the other set-top boxes. They're not even set-top boxes, like the Apple TVs and Googles and the Amazon Fire TV and Roku. Is that Roku still a thing? Isn't that? I look at tech every week and I still can't keep up with these damn gadgets. I don't get it. It seems kind of. I get what they're trying to do to kind of combat the cord cutters. I don't see a lot of people doing this. I don't, because you're gonna pay a monthly fee. There's already like Sling TV and stuff out there. Like if you're paying a monthly fee, I already pay for freaking Hulu and Netflix, and like I'm not paying more. I'm just not doing it. The only thing I'm waiting for is I told my wife, and I've said this for like a couple of years now. If a cable company comes out and says you can have the absolute basic network channels, not have to do them over the air on the antenna for $10, I'll do it. Outside of that, I'm not signing up for more stuff. I'm just not doing it. We got some movie news. Oh, my favorite foul-mouthed comic book character, movie character, Marvel character, Deadpool. We got some new stuff coming out in theaters from Deadpool. A little thing called Once Upon a Deadpool. And this is actually a PG-13 version of Deadpool 2. PG-13 version of Deadpool 2. Limited theater release. It's actually going to be in theaters starting December 12th, and it will end on Christmas Eve, December 24th. A couple interesting things here. First off, $1 from every ticket sold. $1 from every ticket sold is going to go to a non-profit organization called Fuck Cancer. Yes, it is called Fuck Cancer. This is a cancer research organization that's actually really been pushed hard by Ryan Reynolds through Deadpool. And if you're familiar with Deadpool, the Deadpool character Wade Wilson actually has cancer, and the only reason he's not dying is because he is a mutant and he's Deadpool. So, in the spirit of this being a PG-13 film that they have recut, they are calling it Fudge Cancer. Obviously. The other kicker about this, and this is going to get a lot of people excited if you haven't heard about it yet, is they have brought on another star. They actually shot a whole new framing device for the, not entirety of the movie, but parts of the movie. And that other star that has been brought in is Fred Savage. That's right, the one and only Fred Savage is going to be in Once Upon a Deadpool. And the framing device that they have used is Fred Savage in a bed while Deadpool reads him a story. I'm going to give everyone a second. For those of you not familiar with it, this is Princess Bride framing. Fred Savage was the kid being read the story in Princess Bride, and now Ryan Reynolds and the team at Deadpool are bringing him back for Once Upon a Deadpool. So, get ready for that. I might go see it in the theater. I probably won't even have to worry about getting a babysit because I'm feeling I'm always going to be like, whatevs. Let's go see it. And then, like I said, money, $1 from every ticket going to Fudge Cancer, which is a fantastic organization. And in general, Fudge Cancer. Because, like, if that's something we can all agree on. Even the Orange Menace sitting over there in Washington, D.C. can agree on that one. Like, come on. All right, we got some news from ABC. ABC, there's a new show on ABC, just came out this season called The Kids Are All Right. The Kids Are All Right. If you're not familiar with this one, highly recommend it. It's on Hulu if you have Hulu, because that's where I watch it. But it is an ABC show. I'm not sure even which night it's on. I want to say Tuesdays. Nobody quote me on that, because like I said, I just turn on the Hulu. I'm like, oh, there's a new The Kids Are All Right episode, and that's when I watch it. It's actually, I don't want to get into super details about it, just check it out. But it's set in the 70s, a family that has 8 boys. Yeah, you think that family's Catholic? Set in the 70s, 8 boys live in Los Angeles, and the father works for, I don't think they use it, but essentially works for, the... Oh, man, see? Chris is not here to help me out. Works... JPL. Jesus, JPL. Or what was JPL, obviously, back then. And they don't say the actual words, but that's essentially what's going on there. So check it out. The kids are all right. They haven't confirmed... They haven't confirmed how many more episodes they ordered, but the rumors are that it's putting them at a full 22 episode season, which is a traditional sitcom amount of episodes for an entire season. So hopefully that one's doing well, and we'll just kind of see what happens. They got a big cast, obviously, 8 kids, 8 boys, and it's raucously funny. I thoroughly enjoy it. My wife enjoys it as well. So highly, highly, highly recommend it. For those of you that are Veronica Mars fans, that's right, Veronica Mars. I've still not seen any of this, but I know everyone loses their mind, and that's why I throw it onto the podcast, because it's very relevant. A lot of people love Veronica Mars. I'm a big Kristen Bell fan. I just never got around to watching Veronica Mars. It was never high on my list of things to watch. We did get some news from them regarding their casting, and of course, Kristen Bell didn't have to go far. They have actually cast one of her castmates from The Good Place, and this would be Kirby Howell-Baptiste. She actually plays Simone. She just popped up this season, I believe, on The Good Place, and is one of the characters on there. She will be playing a role in the Veronica Mars revival that is coming out. So look forward to that if you're a Veronica Mars fan, if you're a Kristen Bell fan, whatever it is, that's coming out at some point. I actually did see some news. There was... that was the one, I'm blanking on his name now, and I've actually met the Max Green something, and he was one of the actors on The New Girl. He was the Jewish guy on The New Girl. I can't think of his name on the show. Isn't that Max something? He's actually a triathlete, ran in the Malibu Triathlon. He has also been cast in a role there. I actually saw that right as I was heading into the studio tonight, after I'd already finished all my little notes and stuff, so just didn't actually go in there. We've got some more television news. Loki TV series has been announced. Loki from Thor and from the Avengers. You know, the bad dude, Tom Hiddleston. They are developing a Loki TV series. And of course, that's going to be put on Disney+. So I will see none of it. For those of you not familiar with the official name of Disney+, that is that Disney streaming service that we've been talking about for probably close to a year. We knew it was coming, and I've been making a little bit of fun of it. It's officially called Disney+, because that's what Disney does. They did this when I was here. So they launched this little thing called ESPN Plus a few months ago. So just prepare yourself. Everything streaming from Disney is just going to be blah, blah, blah plus. Pixar plus. Marvel plus. All of the Fox properties plus. Like 2 people are going to get that one. All the Fox properties plus. What does that even mean? Look it up. We've talked about it on the podcast. And there's also, in addition to the live-action Loki TV series, we are looking at another live-action Star Wars series that is in development. For those of you that are Star Wars fans, this is following Cassian Andor. God, I'm so bad with the Star Wars name. Cassian Andor, who is one of the characters in Rogue One. Oh, now my computer's doing things. I don't have my quotes right in front of me. He was one of the characters in Rogue One. They are now creating an entire live-action series around him. The actor's name is Diego Luna. I can't remember. I've seen Rogue One, but I think I fell asleep through part of it. Again, this one is going to be on the Disney Plus platform. I will see none of it. I'm not signing up for your platform, Disney. Just not doing it. I'm paying out enough money for all this other stuff that I do for entertainment on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. I'm just not signing up for your Disney Plus stuff. I know there's people out there that are just like, take my money, mouse. I love giving the mouse my money. The mouse loves taking your money too, people. Loves it. Oh. All right, one more thing in TV, film, and books. Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, there is a film in development. We're getting word that it is going to take place right after the series finale of... see? I agree, right? I'm with you, Amanda, and with Spencer, really. And so this film is going to take place right after the series finale of Breaking Bad, which I have no idea that happened in it, but it is. It's not the what's his name? Jesus, where is Chris? It's not Walter. It's not the Walter White character. It's like the Jesse Pinkman character. Please forgive me. My wife and I got through one season plus one episode into season 2 of Breaking Bad, and I had zero interest in it. I was like, nope, I don't care about this show. I have zero interest. Get on me. Breaking Bad is the greatest show ever. Trust me, I have everyone say this to me. It's the greatest show ever. How can you not like it? Because I don't like it. Who cares? Does it bother you I don't like it? Are you offended that I don't like it? There's a lot of things I like that most people I know don't like. I don't really get offended. However, there is a Breaking Bad movie coming out, and I know that there is a huge following for Breaking Bad. Many people will say it's the greatest show ever on television. I don't agree, but that's fine. And there's a film coming out that's going to take place right after the end of the series. All right, let's get into some parenting. We got some news out of Montana. I believe this was Billings, Montana. I might just be making that up because Billings, Montana is the only town I know in Montana. Oh, it was Billings, Montana. Looking at my notes here, it was Billings, Montana. So there was a woman, mother of 3 in Billings, Montana, who has a 6-month-old. She had recently gotten a new full-time job and had enrolled her 6-month-old at a daycare there in Billings, Montana. One Friday recently, she went to pick up her child, arrived at the daycare, and it was completely closed up and locked up. She arrived there at like 5:15, and really the daycare is supposed to be till 5:45 or 6 o'clock, whatever it was exactly, but well before closing time or anything. So she's like, what's going on here? Where is my 6-month-old? Where is my child? She calls the owner of the daycare, and the daycare owner gives her some excuse of, oh, I put him down, and the person that was supposed to be taking care of him must have gone home sick. So her 6-month-old was actually locked inside of the daycare with nobody there whatsoever. Fortunately, I imagine in some kind of crib because the baby had been put down to sleep, but was in there alone. Who knows what could have happened? Nobody in there. And really, who knows? We don't even know how long. We don't, because the owner's not going to admit to that, and we only know when the mother of the child got there. And then, of course, we go to find out that this daycare has had plenty of problems recently. Not full investigations necessarily, but smaller investigations. And now they are looking at a new investigation, obviously. And I will tell everyone, because I don't know if this is a chain. I don't think we have a lot of listeners in Montana. Maybe we do. I don't know. But please watch out for Kids R Us Daycare. That's right. Kids R Us Daycare in Montana. And if there's a chain of them, just completely avoid it. Do not bring your children to that daycare just whatsoever. And this really got me thinking. That's why I put this into parenting. Is we kind of forget now as parents. And I'm sure Amanda can attest to this. Really, as parents of young children who currently have young children, it's probably something you think of. But even as you're preparing to have a child, or even after your children are teenagers and a little older, you don't think about it. But this is something that is so vital: is quality childcare. And you're giving your child over to not necessarily strangers, but to people that you don't know all that well. Or maybe you met them, went through like a little interview and a tour and stuff, but people you don't know super well, and you're leaving your child there, and you're entrusting them to take the best care of your child. And as we can see, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. I'm not saying all daycares are bad. I have many friends that take their children to daycare. I do. And in fact, my daughter goes once a week for half a day to a nanny. She goes to a friend's house. They have what I call a play date, but she's got a nanny. This is a very well-experienced nanny that we know personally, only taking care of 2 children in our friend's home. So I get it, having that quality care. And it really got me thinking about how spoiled I am, because I do that, but I don't have to do that every day. And I really feel for parents that have to do that every day. Fortunately, I am able to work out of the home, and I have my daughter here with me most of the day, with the exception of that one day that she essentially goes on a play date once a week. But I'm fortunate enough to have that. Not everyone has that. Not everyone does. So be careful when you're finding a daycare location if you have to. And really talk to friends, talk to more than just touring a place and everything else. And maybe take some time. Hang out at that daycare for a day. Whatever it is. Because I realize that childcare is a necessity, but it's also something that we don't realize how important is not the right word, but how integral it is to make sure that you have the right person taking care of your child. How important that is. Oh, and I'm just incredibly thankful for my situation. One other thing I want to talk about in parenting, and actually I'm sorry, Amanda, if I'm calling you out on this. My friend Amanda, who's currently on the live feed, had actually posted this earlier. And her son, who I want to say is 6, in the 5 to 7 range, I believe 6, could be, don't quote me on that, anybody, Amanda's going to quote me on it, younger child, and had unfortunately caught the news this morning before his parents did, Amanda and my other friend Spencer, and had seen what was going on. And the question that he asked his mother, asked to Amanda, was, are all of those people going to Coco? For those of you not familiar, Coco is the Dia de la Muerta movie that Disney had put out. It was very, very popular. I actually watched a good amount of it with my wife, and the visuals are just fantastic. I was kind of catching up on the plot. However, I am familiar with Dia de la Muerta. And that really got me thinking, this is something that we really have to deal with now. For me as a child, it wasn't something... Oh, 5. I knew he was in the 5 to 7 range. So their son is 5. I want to say 6. I don't know why. Yeah. And this is something when I was a kid, yes, it came up occasionally, but not as much as now. And now it's something that you can't fully protect your children from. You can't. Now, for the most part, I can. My daughter's turning 2 on Sunday, so like she didn't know what's happening. But once you get to like 4, 5, 6, 7, when they're old enough to understand that something is happening, but too young, not teenagers yet to realize that this is the news and that's what... And I don't have an answer for you. I don't think anyone has an answer. There's no correct answer on this. But unfortunately, it is something that we have to deal with. It's something that's not going to end. It's not going away. Anyone that thinks, yeah, right. When Parkland happened, I was like, oh, this has to be it. Like, this is crazy. This has to be it. No. 4 in the past week. 4. Think about it. 4. And what we have to do, the best we can do is and I think it comes down to individual parents. You're going to know how to talk to your child. And I'm sure Amanda had to have that conversation with her son. Or Spencer did. Whoever did. Had to have that conversation because he's old enough to understand. But too young to where you can really give him the, I was a teenager when Columbine happened. My parents didn't have to have a discussion with me. I watched it happen on the news, But as a young child, I really don't know how you deal with that. And I'm dreading, a couple years from now when I'm going to have to do that with my daughter. And the best thing I can say is we have to just protect that innocence as much as possible. As much as possible. I agree. Yeah, and see, Spencer's telling me there's just no answer. There's just no answer. And all we can do is try to shield them as much as possible. And you can't. You can't. There's breaking news all over the place, and we live in this digital age. And that was also part of it when I was a child. We weren't in this digital age where it was everywhere. I get up in the morning and I ask my Google Home, what's in the news? It's everywhere. It's one of the first things I do. I grab a cup of coffee and I ask for the news while I'm playing with my daughter first thing in the morning. There's no answer. So really, Amanda and Spencer, I really do feel for you. That one hit me hard this morning when I saw it. It hit me hard. I mean, the whole situation hits you hard, but just the innocence of kids. The kids that have to deal with this. Their childhood is ripped away from them. Even kids that aren't direct victims of this. Their childhood's ripped away because they see this. And we don't have an answer for them. We just don't. That's a good call. There's bad guys that don't have restraint. And maybe that's an instance where you also teach them, this is why you stay by mommy, this is why you stay by daddy, this is why you don't get into cars with strangers. Because that was a thing when I was a kid. You didn't get into cars with strangers. Now we get into cars with strangers all the time. Let me get one of those Ubers. Who are you? I've almost died in an Uber. Not even kidding. Where I took an Uber a couple months ago to my buddy Kevin's birthday party over on the other side of town. I had to close my eyes. Oh my. All right, let's get into some tech. But before I move on to some tech, I will tell you, hold your family close, hold your children close, and every opportunity you have, tell the ones you love that you love them. They know it, but just tell the ones you love that you love them. There's a father who lost his 22-year-old son. Unfortunately, he's able to say the last thing that he said to his son was, "I love you, son." It was Dinosaur Ma. My mother likes to jump on my live feed My code word when I was a kid was dinosaur. That's how I knew I could, if a stranger was picking me up from somewhere, which happened. My uncle, my godfather, back in 1986, was gunned down, and I was getting into cars with FBI agents left and right. And when my parents were dealing, it was a whole thing. But dinosaur was my code word. You do have to have the code word with the kids. Let's move on to some tech. Moving on to some tech. So I feel like I've been teasing it for a couple episodes now. We finally, I don't want to build that up too much. We finally kind of got the folding display unveiled from Samsung. They actually held an event this morning, and they unveiled the folding display Samsung phone. They unveiled it. And I say unveiled it, I'm finger quoting for the live feed here. It was very backlit. It was on stage for 45 seconds. They basically showed the phone open and they showed the phone closed back up. So you can't really see it real well. I will tell you, the concept is awesome. I thought the concept was awesome from the beginning. And we do know that Google, as of this morning, actually added folding screen support for Android. So Android apps and the Android operating system will actually be able to support these folding screens, which is awesome. But you know that means that, because I said last episode of the one before, we've got one from a French company launching in December. We don't have exact dates on when the Samsung handset will come out, but you know, everyone's going to get on the folding phone game, and it might be great, it might suck. These folding phones might be terrible. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping there'll be a way to like try one out, you know what I mean? And that might be the way to go to see if it's actually worth it. But it has been unveiled. If you're interested, I recommend going to TechCrunch so you don't have to watch the entire keynote. And they literally posted a couple GIFs, and it's ridiculous. It's fully backlit, so it's like it looks like a shadow hand holding up this device. It's fully backlit. But check out the GIFs. You're gonna see it like kind of in action. That would be the best place to go. Don't go watch the entire keynote. That's ridiculous. It was like 2 hours, and everyone just wanted the folding. They're like, show us the folding phone! I get it. That's why I don't watch any of the keynotes. I just go to TechCrunch afterward, and they're like, look at these pictures of all the stuff that everyone spent 3 hours watching. Yeah, it's right there. That's what media is for. Despite the orange son of a bitch there in Washington dismissing the media, they're actually here to convey information, with the exception of that fat son of a bitch, Alex Jones. Oh, we got some news from his little organization coming up. I hate the fact that I still got to talk about him, but we're going to talk about it for a second, if time permitted. We got some news from Amazon. They actually just launched an Alexa app for Windows 10. Windows 10. If you want to get Alexa on your Windows 10 device, you can now do so through the Microsoft Store. And of course, I like this because I think it's cool to see options for your virtual assistant. Like, for example, I'm a Microsoft user. I use a Microsoft Surface Pro, so I've got Cortana built in. Never used Cortana in my life. I use Google Assistant because that's what I have on my phone. I have Google Homes in the house. I have a Google Home and a Google Mini or whatever that thing is, the smaller version. So that's what I tend to use. But it's nice to see options for what people prefer, and it's kind of like regardless of device here. You know, you don't have to have an Amazon device to have Alexa now. To an extent, they have built in a bunch of Alexa skills on the Windows 10 app. However, there's some things that you're not going to get, such as Spotify control, Pandora control, and this one's obvious to me, is the communications control, because you know you can call an Echo device from another Echo device. You're not going to be able to do that. It's not something they built in, which totally makes sense. There's no reason to put like every freaking thing in there, you know. It's just, even Google has different apps for certain things. You don't talk to people through your Google Home. You go to Google Hangouts, and that's when you talk to people, and you can do video and all that other stuff. Oh my, this one, I've been looking forward to this one all day. All day. You know why? Because the scooter wars just got beefed up. They did just get beefed up. We got some news from Ford. That's right, the car company, Ford. Got some news from them. They actually just purchased the scooter startup Spin. Just under $100 million they paid to purchase scooter startup Spin. This is another one of those, just like Bird, Lime, Uber, Lyft, whichever one. I can't remember which ones. There's so many different scooter companies out there. This one's actually been pretty big with college campuses. And we're just seeing the scooter wars continue, and now we got one of the like really, really big boys out there. A lot of money, like that, because that's the thing. You could be like, oh yeah, well Lyft, they got a lot of money. Yeah, you like that's nothing compared to Ford money. And so we're gonna see some money come behind this. Ford's in on the scooter war game, and the scooter wars are they're not ending anytime soon. So look forward to more of that madness as we kind of get through the next couple of months, years, really. And then it'll probably die off. It's going to be like, I think scooters are like the frozen yogurt effect. I really do. You know, yeah, I'm not going to go back and explain the frozen yogurt effect. If you were alive in the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. The TCBY effect. People are going to be tired of scooters in a couple years. I really feel like that's going to happen. But I could be absolutely wrong. I usually tend to be wrong on predictions like that. So I'll admit it right now, I'll probably be wrong. But that would be my guess. If you gun to my head, making a bet, that's my guess, is we'll be done with that in a couple years. All right, one more thing in tech news. The Sony PlayStation Classic. The Sony PlayStation Classic. We've been hearing words like little tidbits and news pieces about this for the past year or so. It is officially launching next month. We are getting some word from it. Yes, the PlayStation Classic actually called me today and we're getting some information from Sony. It's going to include 20 different PlayStation 1 games. I will say there is a difference between these games and the original classic PlayStation 1 games, is that they have added 3D graphics to many of those original titles, which back then just had 2D graphics. So it's a little different. But we're getting a lot of word, and it seems like it, and it's pretty obvious that it's pretty much just a copy of the NES Classic, obviously, PlayStation Classic. And they're just kind of owning that, which I don't blame them. And it's funny, we have an Atari. I got an Atari before we were even able to get hands on a NES Classic. I bought it for my wife for Christmas last year, and it's essentially like an Atari Classic, and it's just got a bunch of Atari. There's nothing, like, no one should be ashamed of that. It's funny because I was reading an article and they're like, and they're shameless. Like, why? It's their IP. They have these games. The technology's out there. Just make it. Who cares? Call it PlayStation Classic. Call it the same damn thing. I don't even blame them for it. It's getting a lot of good reviews, and I think this is great for original PlayStation fans. Me personally, like, there's just no appeal. I didn't play PlayStation. I was getting a little too old for PlayStation. I had a PlayStation 2 at one time, like when I was in college, or I think I was out of college at that point, and I essentially used it to watch it didn't even have Blu-ray technology at that point. Just watching DVDs. I think the one thing I just had just play DVDs. But so I was never a PlayStation gamer, but I get it if you are. That's why there's an NES Classic in my house, because I was a Nintendo kid. I enjoyed playing my Nintendo games. So if you enjoy playing your PlayStation games, go on out, grab yourself one of those. It's going to be $99.99, and it is officially launching next month. You'll be able to buy it next month. And I bet Sony, because Sony's not a bunch of dickheads like Nintendo, it's probably not going to sell out the first day like Nintendo did, where I had to wait a freaking year and a half to get my hands on one. Speaking of which, the freaking NES Classic controllers, finally, you can get them now. So if you've been waiting and didn't realize, get yourself a second NES Classic controller. I got to get on Amazon and order $10. I just keep forgetting to go on there and order. Just made a big order today too. It's my kid's birthday this weekend. I should have just thrown it on there. What am I thinking? See, we get a little tangented. This is why Bridget needs to be around. She'd be like, "What are you talking about?" No. Excuse me. Man, my voice is going. My kid's getting sick again, and I swear to God, I get sick every time she freaking gets sick. It's the life of having a toddler at home. All right, moving on to some common sense. This one's just been getting me all week. And in fact, my wife on Tuesday night refused to believe it. I'm not even kidding. She was like, no, there has to be more to count, no. And that would be Cousin Beto losing to that slug that is Ted Cruz down there in Texas. Oh, Cousin Beto. I said it that night before we got results, and I say it with conviction now. Beto O'Rourke wins the Senate seat in any other state outside of Texas. He wins. 49 other states, he wins. Montana, Alabama, Florida, he wins. But he didn't win in Texas. Because apparently Texans, like weird sluggy dudes who have no respect for themselves, no respect for others, and really just let themselves get chided by an orange son of a bitch all the time, that's who you guys voted for. So good job, Texas. I mean, everything is bigger in Texas, so they had to have a fat-ass son of a bitch senator instead of a good-looking, younger dude like Cousin Beto. So I kind of get that. But seriously, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that you can look at a guy like Ted Cruz and vote for him over a guy like Beto O'Rourke. Now, it blows my mind to an extent, but not fully. Not fully. Because that's how hateful people are. In fact, I don't even want to say that's how hateful people are. That's how hateful Republicans are. I'm not a Democrat. I'm obviously not a Republican. I'm not anything. I'm an independent. Not the American Independent Party. I'm an independent. I don't care about Republicans or Democrats. I don't care if it's Democrats that win. What I do care about is people with intelligence, people with conviction, and people with progressive values winning. But no, we can't have that in Texas. We can't have compassion. We can't have respect for minorities. No. Which is crazy, because the dude's a freaking minority. Like, it's crazy to me. No, we're going to instill this slug. Let him serve us for another 6 years. And he ain't serving you. He's not serving you. Gets an A rating from the NRA, and he just takes money in to then support Republicans. That's how politics works. As opposed to Beto O'Rourke, who took no money from political action committees. All of his money was grassroots raised money. That's why he wins in all 49 other states except for Texas, because they got a bunch of idiots down there in Texas, and I'm sick of it. I have family down there. And I love my family, but you know what? Texas, they could just drop off. Just drop off. Go be your own country. I think that was the thing they were talking about a few years ago. Go be your own country. That's fine. Just go do it. Because you got a bunch of bigoted sons of bitches sitting in the middle of that state, and it's ridiculous to me. But I will say, ridiculous respect for Beto O'Rourke. And speaking of, that's what's crazy about Republicans. They elected a dead pimp in Nevada. Republicans elected not only a pimp, but a dead pimp in Nevada. Dead. He's dead. Not only that, but Republicans in San Diego, in California, elected Duncan Hunter. He was reelected. I was in San Diego a few weeks ago, and I was driving around, I turned to my wife, I'm like, what are all these Duncan Hunter signs doing here? Has nothing to do with politics. The dude stole your money. He stole money from you to go vacation. And you still elected him. Why? Well, he's Republican. I got him. Give me a fucking break. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for San Diego. I'm embarrassed for Texas. I'm not that embarrassed for Texas. Kind of expected. I'm embarrassed for San Diego. You're better than that. You're better than that. You elected Duncan Hunter. The dude, look at this. Look at what he did with campaign funds. Look at the way he treated his wife. And that's what you want for leadership? Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And that's what happens. Why? Because he's a Republican. Who cares what party anyone's from? I don't care if he's Republican or Democrat. Well, I do at this point because I've seen the hatred that comes out of that party. Zero respect. Zero. It's all gone. All gone out the window. I do have a lot of respect for Beto O'Rourke, who had one of the greatest concession speeches in the history of concession speeches. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I will give you 2 quotes from his concession speech. One of them, and I quote, "I am honored to have been able to do this with you and grateful. We will see you down the road," end quote. This quote I love. As he was in the middle of his concession speech and talking about all of the people that have supported him as he traveled the entire state for the past year or so, raising money and holding rallies daily. Ted Cruz backed out of rallies because he couldn't get on a plane. Beto O'Rourke got in a car and drove there. These are not things I'm making up. This is not fake news for you Orange Menace supporters. This is fact. The man hit the ground. And he got out there with the people of his state. And honestly, we don't even know that he actually lost, because that whole straight ticket thing. I think the straight ticket thing shouldn't be allowed in the first place. But as he was giving his concession speech, and this was live on CNN and live on another news network, he said, "I'm so fucking proud of you guys," while he was addressing all of his supporters. And he said, and I quote, "Everybody who worked on this campaign, every volunteer and ambassador, everyone who knocked on doors, everyone who made phone calls, everyone who allowed themselves to hope and believe, to be inspired by one another, and to turn it into action and into votes," end quote. I can't get over, and you wanted that slug. You wanted that slug, Texas. I can't get over it. I can't. because he's not a Republican. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And you know what? I'm going to leave you with this. I'm not even going to get through these last few things. I'm going to leave you with this, because this has been bothering me for the past week or so. When I'm really thinking about it. So we found that a lot of times Republicans tend to be very wealthy. Not all of them, but they tend to be very wealthy, and they're wanting to protect their wealth and not share their wealth. Whereas we find a lot of Democrats, and again, I'm not a Democrat myself. I'm an independent. If you want to label me, you can label me as progressive, because I have compassion. I have compassion for the LGBT community. I have compassion for minorities. I have compassion for immigrants. So you can label me that way. But you find a lot of Democrats who are in favor of public programs, who are in favor of health care, who are in favor of all these things. They don't have as much money as these Republicans. As many of these Republicans. I'm not saying all Republicans have money. Obviously they don't. The ones that don't are really voting, like, bottom line is, black and white, you're voting against your best interests. If you don't have money, you're voting against your best interests. Because those tax cuts, it's only the wealthy people. Go do some real research. Don't listen to the orange blowhard. If you do real research, you'll see that the numbers are there. And that got me thinking, because a lot of times we have, like Ted Cruz and others who say, I'm such a good Christian man, I'm such a good Christian woman. Let me remind you of a story in the Bible. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Jesus. This was, well, who knows if he told the story, but it's in the Bible. And it's a story of a rich man who goes to the temple, and he goes to tithe. If you're not familiar with tithing, you give money to the church to help support the church, the temple, whatever it is. All religions do this. I believe all of them do. Most of them do. Very wealthy man goes up and, here's 500 gold pieces. This is my tithing for the temple. And the next very wealthy man, and that's chump change to this gentleman. The next very wealthy man comes up and says, here's 1,000 gold pieces for the temple. Again, chump change for that man. A lot of money for the time, but to that individual, chump change. The next man comes up, offers 2 copper pieces to the temple. Now, Jesus taught us that the one who gave the most in that instance was not the first man, not the second man, it was the third one, because he gave everything he had, as opposed to a small fraction of the wealth that he possessed. So don't give me this Christian bullshit. Go read the Bible. I've read the Bible a lot. That's a fact. I've read it a lot. I practically taught a class in high school. Anyone who was in that class with me in high school can attest to it. Practically taught a class on the New Testament in high school. For those of you not familiar with the Bible, that's all the Jesus stuff, is the New Testament. I had classmates in that class that would ask a question, they would raise their hand, the teacher would call on them, and they would literally turn to me to ask the question. I know what I'm talking about. And I want anyone out there to consider that. How much money do you need? How much money does anyone need? Not as much as a lot of these people are hoarding. That's a fact. There's no arguing that. Nobody needs as much money as a lot of people in this country have. Nobody does. And that's with lavish spending, and they still don't need that much money. So don't tell me that stuff. Don't tell me it's my money. I don't want to pay more taxes and all this other stuff. Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. How much do you need? Because I'll tell you, in my house, in my family, we pay as much as we can to help others. And I think everyone in this country, if everyone would learn to do that, we would be much, much better off. Much better off. I'm going to save the Doctored White House video, because I did tease I was going to talk about InfoWars. The White House used a doctored video from InfoWars from Alex Jones. It's astounding how this how this happens. Every day there's something new. Every day. And here we have it again. We're going to unpack that a little bit next episode. I think, right? No, we will have an episode next week. We will potentially not have an episode Thanksgiving week. keep that in mind. If we do have an episode, it will not be on the usual Thursday night because that's going to be Thanksgiving. And usually by like 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving night, I am a little buzzed and full of turkey and sleeping on the couch. So it's just not going to happen. Keep that in mind. I will update everyone. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at TellTheWallPod and at Magic Muppet. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/GoTellToTheWall. You're going to get those updates there. Don't forget to bookmark SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Check back often. And of course, head on over to your YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall, and make sure you subscribe. I don't push the subscribing a lot just because I feel like it's a given. You know what I mean? Oh, thanks, Amanda. It's a given, but make sure you subscribe wherever you want to listen. Like, the podcast is basically everywhere except SoundCloud. We're not on SoundCloud, but we're on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. Oh my gosh, at Player FM. There's so many, like, it's crazy. So make sure, wherever you prefer to listen, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Tell your friends. Share posts. But like I said, I will update everyone with what's happening Thanksgiving week. And of course, in the next, 3-4 weeks, I gotta look at the calendar, we will have our second annual Go Tell It to the Wall Christmas special. So look forward to that. All right, like I said, we will be back next week, same wall time, same wall place. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. We will be back next week with episode 77. This has been... No, we'll be back next week with episode 78. This has been episode 77 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I am, of course, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And remember, no matter where you go, no matter who you're with, no matter what you're doing, and no matter why you are doing it, always use common sense. All right, thanks everyone for joining on the live stream. Amanda, I hope it's okay that I literally shared your story. I was reading it on Facebook this morning, and I was like, oh my God, I just can't imagine having to deal with that and with everything that was happening today. Thanks, Mom, for being on the stream. My mom likes to jump in and get some, words in there and some action in there. And thanks everyone else that joined. I know we had some people jumping on it and off. We'll hopefully have Chris and Bridget back soon. I think what's happening is Chris is on a new gig. He's literally on set right now doing the AD thing, and then because of that, Bridget is at home with 2 young daughters running around. 5 and 2, yeah, almost 6 and 3. I had to think about it for a sec. So hopefully we'll have them back to help me out, keep me in line a little more moving forward. But please tell your friends, subscribe. We will be back next week. Same wall place, same wall time. I would love to give away more of these stickers. Hit me up on all the social platforms, and we will I'll definitely get some stickers in your hands. Amanda and Spencer, I'll get you some of those stickers as well. We'll figure that stuff out. But thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. And remember, if you got complaints, you can go tell them to a wall.